Welcome to the Mental Performance Playbook for this special episode that I'm recording Saturday. Because yesterday, as in Sunday, when you are listening to this, I will have ran a marathon. And this episode is all about the pre-marathon mental preparation. The marathon. That is what we are talking about here today. All the mental exercises, the skills to help out with that, and also understanding that all of these cross into any other sport that either you as the athlete are playing or as the parent or the coach are helping the athlete through. If you are new here, my name is Gabe Rummel. I am the founder of The Athlete's Health, our mental performance training and tracking service, our business, where we are slowly and steadily growing and making some big moves. The mental performance playbook here, these episodes are ways to give out free mental exercises to implement, to train mental skills, as some in the industry call it. Now, what this is the training piece. This is the strengthening part of the mind. You know, there is a counseling piece in the mental world, and that is not what we do at The Athlete's Health. So here we are breaking down the playbooks of the most elite athletes and delivering them in actionable exercises for parents and people to use immediately. Now, in this special episode, I am going to break down all of the mental prep that I've done and I'm doing today to get ready for the marathon tomorrow. In full honesty, I wanted to do the second marathon for two reasons. One, I truly do and am going to do 25 marathons by the time I am 50. That sounds just really cool. So I'm making that happen. But two is this year was not the easiest year for me. And some things were sliding, some pieces weren't working. I needed to step back into my accountability with myself and discipline and making sure that TAH is growing in the way that it can be, and the mental performance playbook here to help out the people listening. So this was a good challenge to get back in the running, literally, and make the most of 2026. So before we get into this, I just ask you, and maybe you will think about this as, what are you doing this year to make this the most impactful year you can up to this point in your life? Now, I have broken down not all, but most of the exercises that I have used, or at least the topics, and I'm going to walk through them, breaking down how I am using them for this race tomorrow. First off, like any race or any event, any game, any performance, going in mentally prepared and with mental preparation with the event as a whole. And this is that visualization topic, but not just even visualization of sitting down like you're humming some weird tunes and thinking whatever. This is visualization of the course. I am figuring out exactly where the course is, what turns, twists we are using. And honestly, going into this one, I have not done nearly as much prep as I would do for other races or events. Mostly because life has been so hectic we have updates coming soon on that. But today specifically, I have looked at the map and I put that on other maps to look at, okay, where are some of the hills? Where are the turns, the twists? Where do I need to know I might get some water? This is that mental prep and visualizing, actually seeing it. That can be visualizing. And so that's what we can do. Whenever I do any speaking events, I really like to see the space before we do the event. So then I can, if not practice there, at least see it and know and put myself in that position. And it's no different for this race, and it's no different for the athletes that we are working with, that either you are listening to this or you have the athletes and you want to get them trained in some mental side of the game. In addition to that, like with baseball and softball season right now, a lot of the teams that we work with, if it's possible, we love to actually do at least one session on the ball field, walk through every piece that we have trained, implement it, in the actual spot. So now it's much easier to visualize because we are there and doing it and implementing it. And once again, I don't mean visualize as lay down, close your eyes, and think through the play. I mean actually visualize walking through this situation because we are walking through the situation and then using that in game because we physically have already been there. And that's the same thing that it can be doing mentally. Now, before I move into the next topics, I just want to pause and make sure that if you are new to this show, please subscribe or give it 5 stars, follow it. And if you find this useful, if you find this interesting, please share it with someone who should see it. I love seeing this slowly but surely grow our mental performance playbook. And I love knowing that it's helping people out. So if you have any comments, please let me know. Otherwise, please share it if you find it interesting, valuable, if you think someone else could learn from it and implement from it. And please take the action too. Action, not only just of sharing it and following, but of what we are actually talking about. Second piece, which honestly, I'm just writing second down there because I didn't actually have these numbered, is not as much mental, but it is just the preparation. And this goes into more my diet and exercise masters, where you sleep, nutrition, hydration, the prep beforehand, the bag ready to go, knowing my morning routine. These are all part of that mental side. Because I mean, really, if it's not something actually physical, like the actual training, the actions that we take come from the mental side, the routines. That's why this is so important. So making sure that I'm carbing up today, that I am trying to get as much adequate sleep as my schedule allows for the night before. That's another variable that's going to be different from last time. So we'll see how it goes. Making sure that I stay hydrated, the electrolytes, all the pieces today for tomorrow is a huge piece in today's part. And that's just a little plug to my diet and exercise, understanding, knowledge from a different past, previous piece. But another also piece that I've been planning for TAH in the future for when it's however many years old from me being 30 into the 40s and what TH transforms into after I get now the sport and performance psychology, MS to put on the back of this business, and even an MBA after that as we have these lined up and making it happen. It's going to be exciting to see what works, what actually comes in the works, and then transforms out of that. That's a side note. I'm just too excited for it and for this race, hyped up, because that brings me into the second piece. I was really focusing on this morning when I did my last minute run. And this is a huge topic that athletes should hone in and implement for every single performance that they have. And it is this topic of internal locus of control. I'm just going to start right now because that is ultimately what is going to get me through the race tomorrow, because it's going to be hard. Now, this internal locus of control, this is what inside can we focus on? Because any sporting event, performance, even if it's just a speaking or presenting in front of your directors, that's a performance. It's going to become challenging in some way, shape, or form. And this internal locus of control are the pieces that we can hone our attention in. Now, this is just a few small pieces that allow us to keep going and keep going and keep going. Without this, we will start to wander. That self-talk will, and we will lose the performance that we are setting ourselves up for. I put 2 sub notes for this of what I will be focusing on tomorrow. And number 1 is breathing. When you run in the barefoot shoes that I run in to build the arch support and strengthen your feet and ankles and lower legs, sometimes that can get taxing. I remember my last marathon, I was running down a hill and my feet were crying out, pounding my lower legs. It was harsh. And so today on my morning run, I made sure when I started practicing race pace that I can only and solely focus on my breathing. Even if I have some music going, which is another topic, I can only and solely focus on my breathing. Now, this is because that is the focus of control. No matter what is aching, pains, that breathing is going to happen, especially when we are athletes and we are huffing and puffing because we are pushing ourselves and everything starts crying out more. That breathing is what you can focus on, especially in endurance events. But for games that go a long time, this is what we hone back in. And that is that control piece. That is all we are controlling our focus on. The second piece to that is the self talk component. You see, when I'm going to be doing this, I want to make sure that whatever I say is keeping me going. It's not saying, "Oh, I shouldn't have done this," or "This is terrible." It's going to be terrible. If I do even say that, which will probably pop in my head because my training has not been the best, I need to make sure that I am then ending on, "But we're doing it and we're going to finish it," or something that keeps me forward. Just like my legs keep going forward and time keeps moving forward, I need to make sure this piece up here keeps moving forward. And that is another internal locus of control sub note that we are going to implement for this performance and any other performance is controlling the piece that we can to make sure it moves us forward. If we need one pro tip for this, I'm going to circle this. I call it Sam's song, Sam's album, whatever we need. This is not actually a person, but it can be. And this is what we work with our athletes on a lot. And we tell them all the time, Sam has a song. It's state altering music is what that stands for. And this is a sub note of internal locus of control, where when I'm really down bad in this race tomorrow, because it's going to happen, I'm going to hit the wall. I know I am at some point. And you know, you might say, don't say that because physiologically, it's going to hit the wall. It just happens when you run a marathon. I need to make sure I have a song or multiple songs queued up, ready to go to alter my state of how I am, how I'm feeling. This music alters that state and then kicks me in another gear. Think about it like in the Rocky movies when the soundtrack of the motivation and the training kicks on. You feel like you want to run through a brick wall, knock down a door, go box like a Rocky himself. That is the state altering music. And that is part of that internal locus of control. The next piece that I wrote down is subjective to what we are doing and if it's a season or one final event and where we're at. In the NBA championship right now, they would be implementing this. At the start of the NBA season, no one's going to be implementing this. What I wrote down is pain promotes / pushes performance. And this is more so not the super sharp pain, but if that does happen, still going to probably run through it. But rather that a tough pain. And that sharp pain is what I'm talking about of in the season at the very end, NBA players are going to try and push through that. At the start, you're going to take the gas off so you can recover and be full go. But in this one output, one performance time, that pain is going to push the performance. And I want us to think about this pain scale. I'm now talking about 1 to 10. 10 is sharp pain, leg needs cut off. 1 is nothing. I'm talking about 5-ish. 5 when you're aching. The pain's there, but you know it's just part of it, and you can keep going. Now, eventually that changes up to a 6 or 7 where afterwards you're feeling it and you're sore and it's hurting actually. Like you did something to your foot, your hamstring's a little too tight, maybe strained it. That's where I am talking about here of pushing. If we're at that point, we know we are giving it our all. Now, the part, just so no one walks away with this and does this, that I'm not talking about is when that gets to a 9 or a 10 and then we're still going. I mean, yes, there's circumstances where people do that, where athletes do that. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about that 5 to 7 range of push it. And I know I can do this because of this confidence exercise I've said quite a lot on here of this VTO. This comes from past performance accomplishments. That's that vision piece that we've talked about, the visualization of knowing the course, of knowing of a marathon's been done in the past. PSP, past performance accomplishments. The second part, the S, is the skill execution. I have trained for this. The training has not been the best that I want, but I have trained for this to the point where the training log says, yes, I can do this. And this goes back to any athlete who has been training their whole lives, having all the reps in for that moment. That's that skill execution. And not only the reps, but doing them correctly, doing them well. And that's what I've tried to make sure when I've gotten my runs in that I've been doing, and the accessories to strengthen the hips and the lower legs to make sure I've been doing them, executing that skill to the efficiency mark that it should be. So that's the S. And then the last one, the preparation, PSP. Preparation. Like I said, following the plan, not only executing, but having that, all the reps that we've done, all the running leading up. That's how I know that if I'm pushing into that slight pain point, it's going to be okay. And this leads me into the last two pieces here of an identity piece and how important that is. Now, this is one I've been recently tailoring back out and implementing out, as in out from underneath, and using of who are we and what are we doing. The identity component is huge. It's one of the main reasons that once any athlete is going to be done playing their sport, they need to find something else. But it's also one of the biggest drivers. And so just in general, I have created it and have started to implement and have seen it make a shift. Now, some may say, oh, is that just placebo? But what is placebo? The placebo is simply the mind. And everything that we do is mental related, unless it's some of the physical actions to help with the mental side of the game. But what I have done to shift my identity is distinctly say two parts of me. There's the past pansy Gabe, who was get stressed out about a bunch of little pieces and things and moments. And that is one of the things that was happening earlier this year through other challenges, and still to this day. But now I have go get it Gabe. And that is when, if you wake up, are we gonna hit the snooze button, or are we gonna actually get up and go get it? Go attack the day. Because any day I do that, I feel better. But it's in the morning when I'm in bed. That's the hard part. But I follow and model the other people that are doing this and where they're at and what I want to achieve. So we work backwards, reverse engineer it, game plan it, create. And that's where we are at. But that is the identity piece. Who are we being? So tomorrow in the race, in any performance, we need to understand what identity are we using? Are we labeling? Are we implementing? Which ultimately we have that identity, and we can create that identity from our last piece here of our goals, of our classic TAH very first exercise, mountain and stepping stone goals. I think I said at the very start of this, my mountain goal is 25 by 50, 25 marathons by the time I'm 50. I'm going to have 2 under my belt before I'm 26, and we will be able to reach that goal if the plan works. But the stepping stone, the very next stepping stone is the second marathon right now. And this is the same thing for any athlete at any level with any mountain goal. That can be a mountain goal or a milestone within that mountain goal of the season, of a month of practice, all the way down to then you call it, is it a stepping stone or a milestone at a week of practice. Daily is hopefully a stepping stone. But that is the driver of all the other mental exercises that we've already labeled out that we want to do and use for this performance. I'll give you a second example of this just on the business side of TAH, of this podcast, the Mental Performance Playbook, these episodes. I want this business, this brand, this service to be the very best, the top tier in my 30s and into 40s. Now, that takes a lot of time, as more buddies, some of them might be listening to this, are having their career jobs and crushing it, putting in the work too. And we always talk about that. They're setting themselves up now, but creating something like this, or the performance and the mountain goal, it takes time. It has to be built. There's from nothing. So, side note, for any of the entrepreneurs or people who have that mindset, who want to talk more about this game, hit me up. But if that is the goal, well, and I have, through some just blessed opportunities and ability to do an MBA after this Master's of Sport and Performance Psychology that I'm in right now for free, I can do the MBA for free. If I have that ability to get that done before 30 and have that plus sport and performance psychology, plus a diet and exercise, 3 different masters, 3 different studies to implement, to lead, to mentor within TAH, it will be on track to be a very big, successful, helpful company, service, technology for the next gen of sports. And so I end that with this, tying the top of this of pre-marathon mental performance, mental preparation in a bow of every one of these exercises implements for the performances in the sport. But then, as we say at TAH, in sports for life, ties directly into life. And that is what we have seen and what we have made happen. And with all the TAH Titans, our athletes that we work with, respect, love working with you. If anyone is interested in any sessions or even talking about it, check out a free mental training session. Reach out with the links below. We have free assessments down there. And our connections only keep growing to help and bring even more assessments and connections and partnerships in the near future. With that said, and with where this episode has leaned into and the time it's taken, I do not believe we will be posting a second part to this episode. In this episode itself, it will probably be next week's episode, but who knows, maybe this will be pre and post marathon mental preparation. With that said, my name is Gabe Rummel. This is the Mental Performance Playbook brought to you by the Athlete's Health, and we will catch you next week. If you like this episode, please, once again, share it with someone, like, subscribe, or follow it, give it the 5 stars, and take some action. Implement at least one of the exercises discussed in here today. There was a lot of them, and the topic was overall preparation for performance pre and inside of it. I will catch you next week. Peace. Oh, well, we are back and we did finish, which I guess was our goal. But part 2 is coming next week. See you then.